Probably seen the hit 2017 indie game made by Bennett Foddy, creator of QWOP and GURP, called Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. This was the game that people were playing for a good while. In its purest form, it's unadulterated rage bait. I played this and tried out his other games, though none of them hit the mainstream and following refuse pile like Getting Over It. Something about it was more interesting than his other titles, as this one was quite polished, easy to understand. Big YouTube reactions. Markiplier throwing his chair.
Oh my god! I'm done! Oh god! No, my god!
Under $10. You get it. The perfect brewing pot of YouTube 5 days of fame. In it, your task is to simply drag yourself up a mountain with a hammer. No amount of forward progress is guaranteed.
Progress is guaranteed. Some cliffs are too sheer or too slippery, and the player is constantly, unremittingly in danger of falling and losing everything.
Because you get punished so heavily for small mistakes, you need complete control over your movements, which is simply not given, as your movement itself is unreliable, along with the need of complete trust in this unreliable movement for better or worse. I know, legendary commentary saying Getting Over It is unfair, but it's not unfair through its loss of progress, it's unfair through its unwieldy controls and the difficulties with climbing that come with that. All of this sounds self-explanatory, but it's important to touch upon for the actual subject of this video, as Getting Over It is definitely a bad game, made to be bad, but this style of game is not doomed, as you can make a game where you lose large amounts of progress and have fair controls. Peaks of Yore is a self-described climb-em-up game set in the Great Gales in the year of 1887, made by Anders Grub Jensen and published by Trapezeware. In it, your task is to simply drag yourself up a mountain with a chalk bag, coffee, crampons, 43 ropes, ice picks, and your own 2 hands. No amount of forward progress is guaranteed. Some cliffs are too sheer or too slippery, and the player is constantly unremittingly in danger of falling and losing everything. However, this loss of progress can be mitigated through the use of your tools and controls that you gradually unlock throughout the course of the game, whether it be ropes that persist throughout death, or chalk that can give your hands just a bit more grip. Additionally, these mountains you can summit are not as long as Getting Over It. Some can be completed as I'm finishing this sentence, while others, like the one we'll be focusing on today, take hours and hours on a successful run. Unlike Getting Over It, your movement capabilities are not unreliable. They are extremely reliable. The main climbing mechanics are grabbing different kinds of holds. Each type of hold is different in how grabbing them affects your physics. Some are slippery, some hurt your hands so you can only hold on for a few seconds, some are cracks which need slow movement to get past, along with crampons which enable the use of crampon jump, coffee which makes your jump stronger for a limited amount of time, or ropes that can save you if you mess up your jump. All of these can be used in combination with each other to gain an advantage in summiting each individual mountain. The control is in the player's hands rather than the unwieldy sledgehammer. It feels like my inability to get past obstacles was my fault as a player rather than the builders. Each jump is a trust fall that Peaks of Yore always catches you on, while Getting Over It holds out one hand while scrolling through TikTok on the other. It's all up to you, how much you trust yourself to summit this mountain, how much your skill can overcome these obstacles. The obstacle that we will be focusing on today is the final non-DLC mountain to summit, the Great Solemn Tempest. A staggering 7,500 meters tall. This mountain takes real-life hours to complete. In fact, my winning attempt has an hour and 30 minutes of footage, and I only started recording halfway through, with only a singular major fall throughout the entire climb. Most of the jumps on this mountain aren't particularly challenging. Some of them are trivial, but the constant feeling of uncertainty keeps you from being completely comfortable, as one slip can send you plummeting down thousands of meters with little chance of catching yourself. This loss of progress isn't because your hands hit the wrong rock, resulting in your body being flung off of it. You lost this progress because you panicked, overshot, undershot, drank coffee, didn't drink coffee, all things that you can learn and react to. The losses I experienced in getting over it, I couldn't clearly learn from. The sledgehammer is unpredictable, with no climbing mechanics besides it. There's always a feeling of I could be screwed over at any moment with no way to save myself. As we follow my climb, you'll see me combining all the tools at my disposal, and I will explain them as needed to explain my thought process, and how it relates back to whether I made the jump or I fell, what it taught me, and how. Actually, it was really fair, guys. We start about halfway through the climb at 4,813.18 meters high, with 29 ropes left. My first jump looked trivial, but the high wind was impacting the distance I could jump. Because of my apprehensiveness, I failed to make it to the ice spike, resulting in falling a few meters before I could grab on the hold wall just below me. I'd been this high once before and lost it minutes later, so even the simplest of jumps needed a few tries before fully committing.
Knew it.
Needless to say, I was nervous of losing the 2 hours I had already sunk into climbing. In fact, shortly after, I thought I did, but I forgot about the rope I had attached. This meter milestone starts with a hold wall, with massive ice blocks being pelted at my body. While worried, this type of thing was pretty common on these climbs, and as long as I'm patient and quick to rope, I won't lose any progress. My general plan regarding these blocks was to rope, hold my life in my hands, dodging as much as possible, then unrope and climb as fast as possible before the next wave hits. This game, through its mechanics, allowed me to form my own tactics and ways of getting past obstacles that will be completely different from another player. Well, our goal is the same, our ways of getting to that goal are different, and that's what makes this game fair. Players are able to learn from each fall. Additionally, before this point, the game had taught me its mechanics slowly, introducing them as I played, giving me ample time to recognize what mechanics are at play and how I may interact with them. The entire gimmick of a past mountain called Ugstum Store, sorry if I mispronounced that, was that there were rocks falling on the player. This mountain was 82.85 meters tall, not 7,500. Because I lost so little progress on this mountain, I could learn how these boulders worked and experiment with them before the Tempest. As if I tried to experiment on the Tempest, I probably would lose all my progress and only back up there after a few hours, only to not know what I'm doing again and fall all the way back down. To add on to this point, this mountain only uses concepts and obstacles seen in past mountains, as Anders knew that if he introduced a new hold or new environmental mechanic, it would punish players, but not allow them to effectively learn from the fall because of the height. Back to the climb. The next large obstacle is a pinch hold wall. Pinch holds use a stamina system that only replenishes after you reach a normal hold, or you put your crampons into the mountain, which you can do as long as there's a piece of rock near your feet by just holding W. This crampon mode immobilizes you, allowing you to replenish stamina, look around you, and take a breather. This mode would make this wall rather trivial. However, since the wall is at an angle, there's no rock wall near my feet, making it impossible to put my crampons into the wall. You might even see me trying, but failing. I almost got stuck since I was attached to a rope with no stamina to continue. However, I was barely able to get to the next hold in time. My rope preserves were about halfway empty, and it was just over the halfway point.
Like, whenever I catch myself thinking like, oh, I can probably do that. The answer is no, and I should use a rope.
Leading up to this milestone, I crawled across a very horizontal stretch. Because of this, instead of the possibility of grabbing something when falling, I fall all the way back down. As I pass over a short ice ball wall, I can see the summit from where I hang and the sound of wind. Wind is a mechanic that prevents or accelerates forward motion by pushing you backward or forward depending on your orientation. I was going against it, and even that tiny bit of hindrance was enough to throw me. Several attempts at jumping were made for each jump. It's things like this that the mountain capitalizes on. Simple mistakes that can lead to your downfall, or things that you don't expect that you must adapt to. Like this jump 6,700 meters up.
I served his country well. Okay. Feisty helps. No, absolutely not. I can. See ya? See?
This life-saving hold is just beyond my reach, so I need to do a very uncomfortable jump to it. This plus the wind can lead to irreparable mistakes if you don't take your time. However, you can't dwell on jumps forever. As these particular jumps, your ice pick has a lenient timer that only regenerates when you reach the next non-pick hole. So each attempt you make whittles down your axe timer until, eventually, you fall.
So I think I'm gonna use one. Actually, I might be able to cope rope this. Like, there's no way I can jump off. I could go above. Wait. No, these are like so close together that I can just use one for all three. Okay.
This makes going fast encouraged, but since the timer takes so long to go down, not necessary. It creates a push and pull of devoting your time to a specific jump, knowing that you'll eventually have to do or die. One thing detracting from this is that crampon mode regenerates your pickaxe timer completely, so if you find any surface in which you can hold, the pickaxe timer is virtually non-existent. I'm pretty sure Anders was aware of this, as many of the jumps you are given, crampon mode is impossible to initiate, as I've spoken about. Still, I would love to see pickaxe timers only come back upon finding a non-pick hold. It's more of that quick but careful gameplay is encouraged, as you don't know when your next replenishing hold is given, so you must hurry but still be accurate. Such as this ingenious jump I made shortly after the last. I wasn't sure if I would hit my head on the ice block I was swinging off, so I took a risk. Instead of jumping horizontally towards my target, probably not make it, I would swing vertically upwards and drift towards the icicle. This was the first real risk I had to make on this half of the climb. Most other times, I either was attached to a rope or had an ice wall to fall back on. Here I have about 2 ropes left and no ice wall to speak of, so I had to work.
Yes! Okay. I used one for the entire thing. Means I've got 2 for these scary jumps.
Well, I mean, it did. But this is the final stretch. If I fall from here, I don't know if I have the spirit to try again. 500 more meters. Thankfully, most of the climb from this point is straight up. However, I have exactly 1 rope left to do these 500 meters. I let my nervousness about falling get to me and use too much of a prized resource that I need to stay safe climbing. During that horizontal stretch, I could have made any of those jumps without a rope, but because I didn't trust myself to make the jump, I used 14, over half of my stockpile. Now, in the home stretch, I'm paying the price. The jumps are still quite easy, but even more of those jumps where I can barely reach it, or long jumps that need precision, are prevalent.
Is that wind? Oh my god.
Beginning with an icicle to another icicle jump. I learned through many jumps on this mountain that going over is easier than going horizontally. So I trained a lot on going from one icicle to the other.
No pressure, no pressure. Nice job. Nice job.
At the 7,150 mark, I can see the summit within my literal grasp, my last rope still in my pocket. Saying that, I just used it, just a bit later. To be fair, I did practice many times and did not feel comfortable, so I folded and used it.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Goodbye. Practice jumps. Follow me, right? Nice. Okay. 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 It is one more jump. I think. I'm pretty sure. Yes! Holy shit! I beat the Tempest! I beat the Tempest! Summit Stamper! Yeah, baby! Stay on peak, menu.
I didn't go over every single mountain in this game, but they're all great at slowly implementing mechanics as you go, while still being challenging. I had 43 ropes on this mountain, but you start with very few. Same with coffee and chalk. Everything prepares you for the final summit. When you finally beat the penultimate mountain, you feel ready. Everything you've been doing up to this point has been preparing you for this. And it's better than getting over it, by a mile. The developer did not want to make a rage game. Anders wanted to make a good, challenging game, taking the good from getting over it and rejecting the bad. This was my first time making this type of video. I probably restated the same sentence many, many times. I probably developed into incoherent ramblings. I probably didn't develop good ideas that I should have expounded upon more, but if you enjoyed this, I thank you. Feel free to give criticism and feedback. Thank you so much for watching. Expect more of this, maybe.